What's up, Instagram universe? Henner G here from my office. How are you guys? Just wanted to touch base, connect, let everyone know this was it. 4 hours left on the 32 Principles Super Sale of the Century. 4 hours left, you guys. And I don't know, some of you guys, for some reason, are still 32 Principles. I don't know if it's the real deal. So I wanted to do a question and answer. Ask me anything about the 32 principles, anything about jiu-jitsu, really. But the 32 principles, get some feedback from those who are on it. It ends tonight at midnight, you guys. I can only say this so enthusiastically. By far, the most important work me and Hidon have ever done for jiu-jitsu. No questions asked. By far. Really, what I feel like we've done is created a new language, right? A new lens, a new language through which to observe and absorb jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense. The 32 principles of jiu-jitsu, the principles that always existed in jiu-jitsu. We didn't invent any of these, but have never been laid out so clearly. And what's wild is that I don't think, it's just crazy how much time, right? Me and Hidon have both been training for, we started when we were 3 years old. Now we're 37 and 40 or 38 and 40. So, over 35 years, we'll call it 30 just to be simple. We'll call it 32 years to tie it in with the 32 principles. But 32 years of jiu-jitsu, each one of us. And always kind of loosely immersed in these principles because our father, our uncles, our grandfather, they always spoke about these. The challenge is, being generally loosely connected to them through practice and understanding exactly what they are, pinning them down, identifying them in a cohesive curriculum so that every beginner can understand them from the very beginning. Those are two completely separate things. And that's what we accomplish in the 32 principles. Normally, when you learn jiu-jitsu, you show up to class and there's a problem, right? Whatever that situation is. And the instructor shows a technique, a solution to that problem. And that's great. And you need solutions to problems. But normally the learning ends there. It ends at the solution to a problem. With the 32 principles framework, when you go to class and you learn a technique, the benefit of your practice doesn't end with the solution to a problem. That's just a superficial first touch. The true benefit of your experience on the mat is that every interaction with every single technique is an opportunity to make investments into the relationships that you have with these 32 principles. So I was talking to Aiden, one of our team members here, the chief of operations, and he's like, Henry, you know what it's like? Like when you eat a meal, healthy meal, whatever it is, you ingest the foods. He's like, yeah, but there's an opportunity to consume enzymes before you take a meal in. And because of the enzymes that you consume, and I'm not a master at this, this is what he explained this morning. Because of the enzymes that you consume, when you take in that meal, the nutrients can be absorbed by your body at a much higher rate and much more effectively than if you simply consumed the foods without preliminarily ingesting those enzymes. And I'm like, bro, it makes perfect sense. So the 32 principles is not a series of techniques. The 32 principles is a new framework and a new lens through which you observe jiu-jitsu so that when you learn techniques, any techniques from any instructor anywhere in the world, in person or online through YouTube, anytime you experience a technique, if you do it through the lens of the 32 principles, the technique has exponentially more value to you. And that's why this program is getting so much hype, is because it's unlike anything that's ever been done in jiu-jitsu. What's been done before? Chokes, triangles, guard, half guard, leg locks, takedowns, guard passes, sweeps. Every topic you can imagine has already been done in jiu-jitsu. So what excited us about this is we were creating a product, a program through which every single other course can be ingested more effectively. And when I approached all these other black belt masters, right? Cobrinha, Shanji, Tom DeBlas, Hanzo, You name it. Obviously, Brian Ortega, Lyoto, Verdum, these guys who are all top of their class, right? Elite world-class competitors. The reason why I felt comfortable approaching them to ask them to review this program was because I knew that it was unlike anything anyone's ever done. Now, if they do a triangle choke seminar on DVD and I'm doing a triangle choke seminar on DVD, it makes sense that they're going to promote their triangle choke seminar. But because what we're doing is so non-existent in jiu-jitsu, they were okay giving their opinion because it's not competing with their own product per se, because this product doesn't exist. This language doesn't exist. No one has ever formulated the 32 principles in a way that makes it to where anyone can learn regardless of the rank. And the most exciting part now is that now that the product has been out for 2 days, it came out on Saturday, we're getting feedback from black belts who are instructors all over the world. Not even celebrity black belts. I'm just talking people who own schools, like martial arts guys, the ones who are putting in the work and have these schools all over the world. And they're like, man, Henner, this is the clarity that I've always known existed in jiu-jitsu and that I've always done as a black belt. But I never had words to explain it. So for them, it's like the biggest exhale of like, man, I can now communicate jiu-jitsu in a way that truly, accurately reflects what I know to be jiu-jitsu, but isn't and was never clearly explained as being the building blocks of jiu-jitsu. And the analogy I used in the live stream that we did the other day, it's still on the32principles.com. You have 4 hours left, 3 hours and 52 minutes. That's still, the live launch sale is still there until midnight tonight on Monday. So the analogy that I used in the live stream unveiling of the 32 principles was the chef. The chef in the kitchen analogy, you guys. There's no better analogy. A chef in the kitchen isn't a master chef. We're talking the best in the world, right? They're not a master chef because they've memorized all the recipes, thousands of recipes. That's not what makes a master chef. The master chef is the master because they've mastered the ingredients in the kitchen. Think about that, you guys. A true master chef, you can put them in any kitchen, anywhere in the world. As long as you give them any number of ingredients, they will formulate an amazing recipe from those ingredients. Because that's their level of mastery of the kitchen, of the ingredients. Too many people in jiu-jitsu have memorized thousands of techniques, but they don't even know what the core 32 ingredients are that make all of those recipes, techniques of jiu-jitsu, possible. What we've done is we've identified the 32 recipes in every jiu-jitsu kitchen so that everyone can become the master of their own ingredients. Now, why does this matter? Because once you master the ingredients in your kitchen, when you end up in situations, unknown situations, for which you don't have a technique, you can come up with any solution. Improvise any solution, just like a master chef can improvise a recipe with any number of ingredients on the table. That's why this matters, you guys. Some of you are like, oh, cool, 32 principles. It's just marketing. I saw some people like, oh, no, we're marketing a good product. Don't get mad at me for selling something that works. And something that we've taken 30 plus years of our life to actually finally contemplate and put on paper, right? So yes, we're marketing it, but this is not a marketing play here. This is putting out the most important. The reason why the marketing is so strong is because the product is so strong, right? All the top black belts of the world that we're talking to here would not be endorsing a product if it was just a title and a name and an exciting hype. It's not that, you guys. It's truly never been done. And they're excited to associate with it because of the impact that it's going to have on jiu-jitsu. We're changing the language of jiu-jitsu, right? It's no longer a technique discussion. Regular students, non-principle based students, we'll call student A, the memory-based students. They learn techniques to understand problems, positional problems. Principle-based learners, principle-based students learn techniques to understand principles. So imagine this. Imagine a tree in someone's backyard. Okay? There's a tree. And the tree is the principle. The window from within the house, let's imagine a house that wraps around the tree. Like imagine a tree in a nice courtyard, and then you have a beautiful house that has like wrapping around on as many sides as possible, but maybe like 3 sides of the tree are wrapped around, and you have windows from the house that you can observe the tree through. The tree is the principle. The window that you stand behind to look through, that's the technique. Understand where I'm taking you guys somewhere, just bear with me here. That's the technique. So every single technique is an opportunity to observe the principle from a different angle. And the more techniques that you are capable of observing, more windows you have around the tree, the better understanding and comprehension you're going to have of this tree. But here's the whole point. Imagine if all your life you thought that windows were something that you were supposed to look at the glass instead of through the glass to see the tree on the other side. Imagine if all your life, every window that you encountered, you thought window was to look at the glass and maybe the spots that were on the glass. That was your relationship with windows in your life. I have a window right here. Look, a big reflection. See me over there? You can see because it's dark outside and there's a window. But imagine if when that window was bright on the other side, I'm looking through it and I'm looking at the window just to see the glass like this. Glass. Oh, it's a little dirty. There's a little spider web. It has spider webs on it. And you're looking at the glass. And all your life, you were looking at the glass, but never through the glass at the principle that lives on the other side. You never see the tree that you're supposed to be looking at because you thought that jiu-jitsu begins and ends with the window, the techniques. This is the whole point, you guys. Jiu-jitsu, the goal in jiu-jitsu is to use techniques to own and understand and observe principles. This is why it's such an exciting breakthrough. And what's wild is I didn't even realize this until the COVID struck and we started to recreate and reinvent and reimagine how we study, practice, and learn and teach jiu-jitsu. This is why it's such a hype right now. We put all this effort to market this because we can't afford for anyone in jiu-jitsu to not understand this language. And you say, well, Henry, yes, you can afford that because who cares what you don't know? Well, that would assume that I don't care about how people are progressing in jiu-jitsu. And if you know me and you know the Henry, you know that my DNA is to help people all over the world understand and grow and fall in love with jiu-jitsu. That's why the thousands of YouTube videos, we didn't charge for those YouTube videos. Every Bracy breakdown that's on the internet, we don't charge for those because we like being the reason why people start doing jiu-jitsu. Me and Hiron, if we had to choose our role in the universe, it's be the catalyst, right? Joe Rogan's amazing too, but be the catalyst to get people off the couch and onto the mat. And we use any means possible to do that. Now, the 32 principles is now the catalyst to get people from the dark into the light when it comes to how and why we are doing jiu-jitsu and what we should aim to make our training objectives in every single session. Don't look at the window. Look through the window to appreciate the tree. And here's the best part. You won't look at the tree if you don't know the trees exist. So the course, the 32 principles of jiu-jitsu, this whole course of 32 principles, what it does for you is it shows you that the trees exist. Here's the 32 trees. You need to be every single angle. These are the 32 trees you need to be looking at in your life. Number 1. Number 2, now that you know what the trees are by name, you have labels, connection, detachment, distance, creation, frame, velocity, clock, overload, river, reconnaissance principle, anchor principle, pivot principle, all of these principles. Once you know them by name, then you have to know them by purpose. You need to know all the purposes for which the pivot principle, the overload principle, the reconnaissance principle, the mobility principle, all of these principles, the Grandmaster principle, number 32, you have to know all the purposes for which these principles can be called on. Once you know the names, you've labeled them, what they actually are by definition, and you know all the purposes for which they can be called on, That's you jumping from every single angle around the tree, around the house, all these different windows of perspective to understand that tree at the maximum way possible. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason there's so much hype around this course is because there's so much at stake. Every student who does not evolve, graduate to principle-based learning mindset, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, when the majority have, they're going to be speaking a language and contemplating jujitsu. I don't do jujitsu seminars anymore. I do 32 principles seminars. When I travel, this is the language I speak now. And if you speak 32 principles, you're going to understand what's going on. When I'm talking about whatever topic I'm teaching of jujitsu, it's going to be filtered through the 32 principles. So when you understand those, you understand the language. If you don't, you're going to be here looking at the glass, not seeing through the glass on the other side. Be the master of the ingredients in your kitchen. Be the master of the principles in your jiu-jitsu. Be the master of seeing the tree through the glass and not one that's fixated on the glass. You guys, there's so much more that can come from jiu-jitsu if you own the principles. And once again, the practical application of this is what? Once you own the 32 principles, your ability to improvise in any situation of jiu-jitsu goes up exponentially. When I land in any position, put Henner anywhere, lay me down, put me in the bottom of the mountain, north, south, half guard, anywhere, position, inferior, whatever it is. Even if I haven't learned a technique, I can assure you that I will devise one in the moment. And my ability to devise from nothing and create something is entirely rooted in my relationship and the investments I've made into the 32 principles over the course of my life. And now we're going to hack it so it won't take you 35 plus years to do this. We want you to do it in the first 12 to 24 months. White to blue belt, you should be 32 principles, downloaded, full library, know them, recognize them every time they happen, call them out by name. That's where you want to be. And it goes down. Tonight, midnight, the sale's over, 25% off. This is a done deal. And then we go back to 32 principles. It's only $80 at full price. Tonight's $59. So it's not a huge difference. If you think about it, wait for your friends to get on board, and then you jump on, it's all good. All right? I'm going to take 3 questions now as I scroll here. Let me see. Let me get a couple questions. Boom, 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 boom. Awesome, awesome. I need some actual questions here. Throw them in, you guys. Let's go. 3 questions now that I went on my rant. Awesome, awesome. Everybody's, a lot of compliments here. Thank you guys. A lot of are loving it already. A lot of these guys are already checking out the material, which I love to hear. Awesome. Loving it, loving it. What's up? Henner G. Henner on Shark Tank. I'm not on Shark Tank. Let me get a couple questions, you guys, on 32. Tyson says, I wish you would have done this 11 years ago. We have a lot of that, you guys. A lot of people are saying, I wish I would have done this. Trust me, I wish for myself. I wish for me. Forget you guys. If I would have had this broken down for me. Gosh. All right. How do the 32 principles apply outside of jiu-jitsu? 32 principles are 100% life applicable. When COVID struck, river principle. I didn't focus on the rock. I was the water, and I focused on where the rock was not. That's 32 principles, river principle, directly applied in COVID. Are the 32 principles linear? In other words, they go 1 through 32. No, Shane is asking, are the 32 principles linear? Technically, you can learn them in any order, meaning they're all just independently amazing in jiu-jitsu, but we presented them in the order that made most sense, and since we referenced them in order, like we'll be in principle 22, 27, and we'll reference principle 2, detachment. So it helps to go through an order because that's how we develop the curriculum, but there's not one better than the other. The truth is, what's the most important principle? The one that will set you free. When I hit COVID, the river principle is why we developed the 32 principles curriculum, because we just flowed right around the rock. Is there going to be a book? Anything's possible, you guys. You know me. When I get started, it's hard to stop me. Could you go over more than one principle at once, like connection or disconnection? Could I study them both in the same day? Yes. You can study more than one principle at a time, you guys. Some people do 2 or 3 a day, but the reality is, on average, 2 to 3 weeks, dedicated study per principle before moving on to the next one. Just keep that in mind. How will it be presented in the master cycle? This will be presented in the master cycle. We're going to teach now in the master cycle. This is the new language through which we teach it, and we're going to make it happen. Any other questions? Let's get one more. Digital or DVD form? Only digital, you guys. It's the first course that we're allowing for full download, however. You can download the 32 principles to your laptop. So it's the first time we've done that. So in lieu of having it on DVD, we're allowing for full download. Everything goes down tonight, 3.5 hours left, 32principles.com. Watch the live unveiling. If you didn't watch the live unveiling, it's the best BJJ class we've ever taught in our lives and probably the best one ever put online on video. For sure online, I don't think there's ever been a single class that has been more impactful potential in your jiu-jitsu than the live unveiling of the 32 principles. Thanks for joining us, you guys. Man, to all the black belts who took the time to review the curriculum and shed light on it and give their opinions, obviously incredible gratitude, because I think they saw that this was bigger than simply a techniques of jiu-jitsu course. They realized that this course could unlock a lifelong practice of jiu-jitsu for so many students, right? Because once you grasp the principles, you're on the mat for life. Without them, there's no guarantee. With them, jiu-jitsu takes a whole new form, and progress takes a whole new form, and ownership takes a whole new form. And any situation you end up in is exponentially easier to navigate and improvise in when you understand the 32 principles. All right, you guys, I'm going to cut this off. I'll leave the recording probably on Instagram, but thanks for the questions. Thanks for the energy, you guys. If you haven't got down yet, please, before midnight is the time to do it, because tomorrow the price goes up and you're going to say, Henner, can I get that discount? I'm going to say, you guys, I already extended the sale for 24 hours. What do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? 32P. We got to wrap it up at some point, you guys. So much respect. Everyone who came in early and took advantage of the discount. I know you guys are the loyal friends and fans who've been with us for a long, long time. So I appreciate you guys. You know who you are. And one day when we share the mat together and you're using 32 principles on me, hopefully you just, you let me go and I tap out. Much respect, you guys. We'll share the mat soon. Can't wait to hear your feedback on the course. Trust me, tag me on Instagram, put me on your story. I'm going to share it. I can't wait to spread the word. All right, you guys. We'll talk to you guys next time. Yeah.